confronted the suspect as he was breaking into her car outside of her home. And as you saw with the bruises on her face, that is when she was punched in the face. This is still a developing story. So as we get new information into our newsroom, we'll pass it right along.
Well, the tax deadline is here, and for those who weren't able to file by today, many are attempting to secure some last-minute extensions. Our Brett Rosen joins us live in studio tonight. He spoke with a local CPA for the latest information for you. Brett?
Olivia, as Benjamin Franklin once said, in this world, nothing is certain except death and taxes. The sounds of keyboards can be heard in every cubicle at Barnes CPA, an accounting, tax, and advisory service company in Palm Springs. Tax preparer Aaron Ortega says it's busiest when the deadline comes.
Mainly an influx of calls, influx of emails, a lot of follow-up. So, it's kind of balancing between actually working on the returns and then settling some client concerns. So as we file extensions, we also want to make sure some people know that it's an extension of time to file, but not an extension of time to pay.
We found people not wanting to take any chances, walking up to the post office and turning in their final paperwork. Aaron Danderg is so concerned, he literally took a photo before turning it in.
Just to be perfectly safe, if there's any question later about when did I bring it to the post office, when was it delivered, I can refer back to the picture that I took. I mean, my concern has always been that the post office is not as fast as I wish that it was. And I know that I'm doing it on the last day when it can get stamped. So to me, it's just playing it safe to make sure there's a record of it.
Experts say people who have jobs that don't get taxed out of their paychecks, like Uber, should prepare ahead of time.
If you're driving for Uber or if you have a Schedule C as a sole proprietor, you get taxed at about a 15% range. So a safe percentage for you to save your money throughout the year. If you're gaining this type of business income, just save maybe about 12 to 15%.
Now, if you're worried about any federal cuts affecting how long it will take to get your refund, the experts we spoke to said it shouldn't be any longer than usual. For NBC Palm Springs, I'm Brett Rosen.
All right, Brett, thank you for that. The Riverside County Board of Supervisors has tentatively approved an ordinance restricting where electric bikes can operate in unincorporated areas. The e-bike safety ordinance was prompted by safety concerns. It bans e-bikes from sidewalks, pedestrian walkways, and nature and equestrian trails. Some exceptions apply, though, where no bike lanes exist as long as riders follow traffic laws. There is a final vote that's set for May 6th, with the ordinance aiming to reduce conflict between e-bikes, pedestrians, and equestrians.
The board also scheduled a public hearing for May 20th. This is to consider a proposed 3% trash collection fee hike in unincorporated areas as well. The increase is requested by waste haulers like Burtec Waste, CR&R, Desert Valley Disposal, and Waste Management. It's intended to offset inflation and rising operational costs. Residential rates would rise by about $1 to $2 monthly, with higher rates for hard-to-reach areas. If approved, those new rates would take effect July 1st. Let's go ahead and take a live look outside for you from our Agua Caliente casino camera downtown Palm Springs this evening. Maybe one of the few days here to go grab dinner outside. Chloe, I'm a little worried. The temperatures are going to feel great by the end of the week, but the wind is going to ruin a few things for us.
I know. I feel like I brought the good news, being like, it's 70s. It's going to be perfect. And I was like, and then 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So there's that part. But that's more so for the wind corridor. For Indio, for us here on the desert floor, more breezy conditions for later this week. So we'll take those. A little bit gusty right now in Palm Springs. More on that in a second. We're talking about this storm that's developing off the coast. It's going to start to move inland as we get into our Wednesday. That's going to bring some below average conditions, temperatures by the end of the week. So we were talking about it late last week. It was 103, I think, for Indio on a Friday as Lady Gaga was performing. For this week, it's going to be mid 70s for them. So quite a difference, about 30-degree change from last week into this week. Gusty winds for our Wednesday and Thursday. As I mentioned, gusts up to 60 miles per hour. Then we're tracking light rain at the coast for our mountain communities. It's not a substantial rainstorm. We're talking about light rainfall. So we'll talk about that more in that full forecast. 83 degrees right now in downtown Palm Springs. Those winds are gusty actually for Palm Springs. They're seeing the strongest gusts here in the region. 20 miles per hour, 17 in Capizon, Whitewater, 14 onshore flow with us. That will continue through this week. So those winds from the west, and that's going to bring in a little bit more moisture too. That's going to give us a little bit of that cloud cover as we get into later this week. So here's a look at that surface map, just showing you what we expect as we head into Wednesday. Light drizzle at the coast, some fog for them. For us, it's those winds definitely picking up as we get into the evening hours on Wednesday, as well as ushering in those cooler conditions. Here's a look at your Comfort Air 3-day forecast. Mid 80s Wednesday, 70s by Thursday and Friday. We'll break down more you can expect in that full forecast coming up.
Continuing coverage tonight, we do have an update regarding a luxury theft report in Palm Springs happened during weekend one of Coachella. The victim, you may recall, her name is Sarah Barnes, says a package containing more than 30 high-end items, including a $3,000 designer bag, never arrived to her destination despite being marked as delivered via the Uber delivery service to the Ace Hotel, but she never received her package. So Uber tonight commenting, saying in part, quote, we have the statement right here on your screen, we are concerned by what's been reported by Ms. Barnes. We've been in contact with her. We removed the driver's access to the platform, and we are investigating. Uber also saying tonight they are ready to support law enforcement with their investigation. They have a 24/7 customer support team that's ready to help with any issues, and customers can report issues through the app, and that they have a team of former law enforcement professionals around the globe who are on call, ready to work with police.
New at 6 tonight, today at Desert Club in Old Town La Quinta, the city came together to celebrate another successful Art on Main Street event. Also announcing donations will be made to 2 local volunteer groups.
They presented the La Quinta Historical Society with a check today, as well as Desert Recreation District. Because of their volunteer work, this is somewhat a volunteer appreciation, celebration of another successful season, and this extends the ability to provide art to many people within our community.
Mayor Linda Evans there also saying the city will add more dates to the Art on Main Street event next year because it's been so popular and successful so far. Coming up next year on NBC Palm Springs, what is the crypto exchange? Well, Crypto Fits stops by tonight to explain how this works. That's after the break.
Also tonight, a federal judge blocking most of President Trump's latest executive order targeting a law firm. Those details ahead.
And we have a look at your gold and silver prices on this Tuesday evening. Stay with us. Those headlines coming up in just a bit.
They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discover the unique stories that set our valley apart. Together, we're going to find inspiration and foster connections that strengthen the fabric of our community.
Babies are experts at paying attention to only what is genuinely fascinating, and we couldn't agree more.
Welcome back. In tonight's Crypto Fits segment, where do you buy cryptocurrency? That's what we'll be focusing on. Well, you head to the crypto exchange. It functions like the stock exchange, but it's for cryptocurrency. There you can find Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other altcoins as well. And there are different types of crypto exchanges like the Coinbase, Kraken, and Gemini here in the US. They're either centralized or decentralized. Crypto Fits stopped by to explain how this works.
So you buy your crypto, you don't hold your crypto on an exchange because they hold your keys. You might have heard not your keys, not your crypto, not your coins. So you needed to take custody of those assets once you purchase them. So the game is to get on an exchange, purchase your crypto, then get your own wallet. And we've discussed wallets before. Get your own wallet and be your own self-sovereign bank. Don't hold a lot of money on an exchange. Once you've started purchasing, get them into your own digital wallet.
To learn more about how crypto exchanges work, head to the Crypto Fits tab on our website, NBCPalmSprings.com. We'll see Crypto Fits again next Tuesday.
Another legal loss for President Trump. A Washington, D.C. district court blocked most of his executive order that placed restrictions on the litigation law firm Susan Godfrey last week. Court's order aims to restore the firm's lawyers' access to federal buildings and its ability to represent clients who are government contractors. Sussman argued that the administration was illegally retaliating against the firm in a way that violates constitutional protections, while the White House maintained the president should control the federal government as he wishes and said it targeted the firm because of its legal work related to elections.
American Airlines says it will begin offering Wi-Fi services starting next year. Following testing flights last month, the airline announced this morning that in-flight Wi-Fi will be available beginning January. The service will be available for members of its Advantage loyalty program. The move follows some similar initiatives by other airlines, including JetBlue, Delta, and United. Currently, American Airlines in-flight Wi-Fi routinely tops $20 per flight. The carrier is saying that starting in January, the free service will be available on its planes outfitted with Intelsat and Viasat satellite Wi-Fi, which will account for about 90% of its fleet.
The FDA tonight is warning consumers to avoid fake Ozempic that's found its way into the supply chain. Food and Drug Administration released this photo right here of some of the several hundred units of counterfeit drugs that have been seized. All of the fake medications are labeled with lot number PAR 0362 and have serial numbers starting with the first 8 digits, 517-46517. Officials are urging patients and doctors to check that their Ozempic prescriptions are legitimate. The agency said it's aware of 6 adverse event reports linked to the lot. However, none of them appear to be associated with the counterfeit products.
Let's take a break from the news and take a live look outside from our Indian Wells Golf Resort camera this evening. Chloe Carlson is tracking your 7-day right after the break.
They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discover the unique stories that set our valley apart. Together, we're going to find inspiration and foster connections that strengthen the fabric of our community.
These are experts at paying attention to only what is genuinely fascinating. And we couldn't agree more. NBC Palm Springs News. Even astronauts tune in for their news fix. When it comes to top stories, we're on a whole new orbit.
Right, and happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome back to the show. The suspense, right? Here's here's a live look at the Walter Clark Highway 11 cam in Rancho Mirage. Clear blue skies from this angle. We'll see that change a little bit over the course of the next couple of days. Some cloud cover moving in. Very light traffic on the 111 at this hour. Beautiful day today. No complaints looking at this live cam. Am I right? We got the trees there, the mountains. It is a beautiful day. Let's take a look at as we head into Coachella. 78 for Friday. Like I said earlier, a different weekend from last week. We were triple digits, very hot, very warm conditions all weekend long for those festival goers. It's a little bit flipped. I mean, we'll be 80s Saturday and Sunday, but once those concerts, those headliners perform, it'll be in the 60s for those nightly conditions. So you might even need a light jacket, at least for me. Friday, more of that cloud cover. It'll kind of clear up as we get into our Saturday and Sunday, but looking like a good weekend for Coachella. Speaking of which, day one, festival day one with Lady Gaga. It is going to be 73 degrees for Benson Boone. If you are into seeing all those flips and tricks, those beautiful things, I think that's one of his songs, Missy Elliott, 68 degrees. And by 11 o'clock, 66 for Lady Gaga. So a light jacket for sure. If you are like me, 81 for Indio at this hour, 80 in Palm Springs. Overnight tonight will be 60s here on the desert floor. Thursday, that center of that system is going to be to the north of us, and it will be moving inland. That cold front coming with it. That's going to continue those gusty winds. We're talking about, like I said, Wednesday and Thursday, gusts up to 60 miles per hour possible for the San Antonio Pass, the Banning Pass. Keep that in mind if that is your commute. Winds will weaken as we get into our Friday. Speaking of Friday, we are tracking cooler conditions. Chances of rain for our mountain communities, less than a quarter of an inch. It is light rain storm and not a substantial rainfall with this storm. As far as winds arriving, we'll see a little bit of moisture Wednesday and Thursday, most of it pouring in on Friday. But again, like I said, less than a quarter of an inch for that total rainfall. Here's a look at your Comfort Air 7-day forecast. 85 Wednesday. We are 70s by Thursday.
The NBC Palm Springs Sports Desk with Tim O'Brien. Brought to you by Agua Caliente Casinos.
Oh, welcome back. Pro Beach Hockey, Sun Surf, and Slapshot set to premiere in the Coachella Valley on Wednesday. Firebirds captain Max McCormick, one of the producers on the film, stopped by this afternoon to share how the story all originated.
Yeah, my close friend that I met at Ohio State, I actually met him, funny enough, in a criticizing television class. He was a hockey guy, played on the club team. We became friends, kept in touch. And he was a producer for Major League Baseball. And he gave me a call during COVID when everything slowed down and said he was working on this documentary of this roller hockey league he grew up watching. And I watched the trailer and loved it. And I just wanted to help him out however I could. And now here we are several years later with one of our first couple screenings.
While McCormick didn't want the opportunity to pass by, the passion for the sport clearly spills through the TV.
Yeah, it was a time capsule of the 90s pop culture. And everybody remembers the ramps. The ramps behind the nets were crazy. It was just like this mix between X Games, hockey, and just rock and roll and entertainment. And I just was really drawn to the trailer. I thought it looked really fun. And I couldn't believe that the story hadn't been told before.
Well, the premiere is set for Wednesday, April 16th at the Mary Pickford Theater in Cathedral City. Red carpet access, 7:15. The premiere at 8 o'clock. We'll have more on that here in just a moment. But first, Firebirds rookie defenseman Ty Nelson named the Coachella Valley Firebirds American Specialty Man of the Year for his outstanding contributions to the local community and charitable organizations during the 24-25 season. Nelly, with 6 goals and 24 assists on the season, a solid body on the blue line, and with a bright future ahead, to say the least. Now back to the film. You can still buy tickets to the event by heading to the Firebirds Instagram page and clicking on the link in the bio. You can also watch that interview in its entirety on our website at NBCPalmSprings.com. That'll do it in sports. I'm Tim O'Brien.
And now the Agua Caliente Entertainment Report, brought to you by Agua Caliente Casinos.
Game show host Wink Martindale has died at the age of 91. Martindale is known for hosting shows like Tic-Tac-Toe, High Rollers, and Trivial Pursuit. He passed away at his home in Rancho Mirage, surrounded by family and his wife of 49 years, Sandra. He was born in Tennessee, began his career as a teenage disc jockey, later making rock and roll history by helping Elvis Presley give his first radio interview in 1954. He'd go on to host more than 20 television shows, making his mark as one of the most recognizable figures in game show history.
Tomorrow, the City of Indio has an offshoot music event between Coachella's 2 big weekends, and it features artists who perform at Coachella. The city has teamed up with Golden Voice. This is a free all-ages community music event. It's called Chella. The event is Wednesday night, 6 to 10 at night, over at Center Stage in downtown Indio. There will be food trucks and a beer garden as well.
Palm Springs Chamber of Commerce set to honor radio actress Eleanor Harriet with the 478th star on the Walk of Stars. This will happen April 25th. Harriet rose to fame in the 1930s for her role as Ruby Taylor in Amos and Andy radio show, which was broadcasted from Palm Springs. After retiring in 1955, she became a civic leader in Beverly Hills, championing education, racial equality, and the arts. Harriet passed away June 10th of 2000.
Many may view Hollywood as the entertainment capital of the world. However, on-location filming in Tinseltown and the surrounding areas has plunged. That's according to a new report from Film LA, which is in charge of film permits for Los Angeles and LA County. The report states filming in the greater Los Angeles area decreased 22% during the first quarter of this year when compared to the same period last year. The group says a decline was observed in all filming categories, including feature films, television, and commercials.
A new movie tackles friendship, fatherhood, and self-discovery. David Daniel brings us an inside look.
Ricky's here. Bring him in. I'm phasing him out. Why? He's a grown man who hides in trees.
Michael Cera and Michael Angarano play friends going different directions in Sacramento.
We're growing apart. Can we just drive around and have fun for 15 minutes?
Angarano and a friend wrote the script, which stemmed from a real-life incident.
We're driving home from the batting cages, and there was a sign on the freeway that said 5 North Sacramento, and
Want to go to Sacramento? Unplanned, long drive to a city I have no desire to be in. Sounds fun.
That was what was said that day verbatim. And so we wrote that scene and then we wrote the film.
Sarah, who plays an expectant father, welcomed his own first child during COVID.
So it was a pretty stressful time to have a kid. And yeah, it definitely ratcheted my anxiety way up.
You're all right, man. You're just all out of whack right now. You're all like pent up.
No, I'm good. Not crazy about that.
Why did you do that?
There was a crick.
I started more in the Ricky spectrum. By the time we made it, I related so hard to Glenn. I never just destroyed a crib, but I emotionally felt
destructive.
Yes.
It's called misplaced anger.
No, stop. Ow. Len.
Life is crazy and there's a lot you can't control.
But
what?
I thought you were heading towards saying something reassuring.
Yeah, me too.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Brighter Side of the News is brought to you by Fiesta Kia. Discover the all-new Fiesta Kia located in the I-10 Auto Mall.
We are giving away a 4-family packed set of tickets to Desert Rodeo. This event is set to debut the very same weekend as the Hit Country Music Festival Stagecoach, slated for April 25th through the 27th over at the Desert International Horse Park, which is in Thermal. It's going to feature the Flying U Rodeo sanctioned by the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. Also have dining and shopping. If you'd like to enter the contest, head on over to our website. That is NBCPalmSprings.com. Click on the Cool page. Winners are going to be announced next week on Tuesday, April 22nd. That's during our 11 a.m. morning newscast.
Very cool. First weekend or first year that they were doing it here in the desert. So it'll be fun. I feel like a good time because all the country people are already in town for Stagecoach.
Yeah, you got to cut away from the music for a little bit over to the rodeo. Didn't you guys? There was something rodeo just in town, wasn't there? Over at the
PBR.
PBR.
PBR. You went to that.
I did. Yeah, I did 2 of the nights. It was awesome.
Yeah,
It was a lot of fun.
Must have a big audience for that.
Did you guys go bull riding ever?
Sure.
All the time.
Hey.
Why not?
All right, that's going to do it for us. We're back here tonight for the news at 11, but for now, we'll send things over to Fred Rogan. He's got the latest with the Rogan Report. Hey, Fred.
Hey, Mark. The Rogan Report is presented by The Living Desert.
All right, one day in the future, not too distant, you may walk into a doctor's office and be greeted by an AI assistant. It hasn't happened yet, but AI is being used to ease doctors' workloads, giving them more time to interact with patients, especially here. With a growing doctor shortage, AI may be the answer we need. Welcome in. It's a busy Tuesday, a lot to cover. We talk about the dangers of Highway 74. And Assemblyman Jeff Gonzalez is trying to get something done on the state level to have those giant trucks banned. I want to show you something that happened the other day. This may look fairly tame, but on a narrow road, it's not a great idea to have a giant truck pull out in front of a school bus full of kids like that. Here's the issue. The trucking industry is going to fight any type of regulation on that road, no matter how unsafe it is. That road is the quickest way from San Diego. Time is money. They'll fight any type of regulation. Concerns about safety, be damned. Our contributors tonight, Brad Ward and Tammy Bleck. Tammy, we'll start with you. What's more important, trucks saving time or the safety of others on the road?
Well, people over trucks for sure. The trucking industry really keeps our economy humming. I don't think the truckers are the bad guy. I think the industry looking for shortcuts, shortest routes to save money is what's causing this. There's alternate routes. It's just a lot longer. It'll take more time. It'll cost more money. But what is a life worth? What do you think, Brad?
I agree with you. I think it's safety over profits any day. You can replace money, but you can't replace a life.
How many people have to be injured or killed before something is done about this, Brad? Because we have accidents up there all the time.
Well, technically my answer would be 3, but that's 3 too many if you really ask me. 3 is the smallest number that you can prove any statistical significance on. So 3, I guess. Tammy, what do you think?
I'm thinking if 3 doesn't matter, 10 won't matter, 1 should matter. To them, I don't think they look at it that way. I think they look at it about profit. I think that's part of the problem in our country at the moment. It's profit, profit, profit. And this is about safety. It's about lives. It's about children and families. And I just see it as a no-brainer. I mean, we have so many highways and freeways. I get it's going to take 3 hours longer. Just freaking pay it.
Yeah. Okay. Recently, we have talked about medical care right here in the Coachella Valley. The focus was Eisenhower. But the truth is, the problem is everywhere. There's not enough medical professionals. Doctors and nurses, all underpaid, all overwhelmed. Things have to change, and they're starting to change thanks to AI. Tom Brazil from Desert Oasis joins us.
From the world of AI.
Tom, thanks for being here tonight.
Appreciate it. Pleasure to be here.
How is AI going to help patients when it comes to medicine?
That's a really great question. There's a lot that AI can do. AI is there to help and augment, but we're still there to make the final decision of what happens.
But what will AI do? I come to see you. I've got a problem. Doctor, I've got a problem. What is AI going to do?
It's going to help make us more efficient, is really what it's going to do. Help us make us more efficient, see more patients, provide the right level of care to the right patient at the right time.
So the concern people have that will be watching now is I go to the doctor and look, there's a shortage of healthcare professionals here. We've talked about this, and doctors are just overrun by patients because there's not enough doctors. Is AI going to speed this process up? Is AI going to allow more people to be seen and receive care?
Absolutely. That's really the intention of what we're trying to do with Desert Oasis Healthcare. It is commonly known that there is a healthcare provider shortage, and we're trying to leverage AI and those different digital health tools to alleviate that. It can help us to identify patients that are sick versus patients that are healthy, patients that are at risk for going to the hospital versus those that might not be as at higher risk. So we can then identify these are the patients we need to talk to today, not the ones that, their appointment's in 2 weeks, right? So it's really going to help us to be more efficient in identifying, seeing the right patient at the right time, and reducing the amount of clerical work that we need to do for those patients, such as writing up the note and summarizing what we talked about with the patient. We trust it because we've gone through all the vetting process. We've looked at the literature behind it. We've spoken to a number of different resources. We brought our entire healthcare team in on this to make sure that this is going to be safe and effective for our patients.
All right. Exciting stuff.
Absolutely. Can't wait to see what the next 5 years has.
Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
From the world of AI.
All right, Brad, right now in this moment, do you trust AI to help doctors?
Not any more than I trust AI for my own use. What we know about AI right now is that it's simply a compendium of information, and it's not been vetted terribly well. So as you've got all this information, but you don't know how to sort out the useful stuff from the not useful stuff. Tammy, what do you think?
You know, look, I think it's great to help our physicians. Yes, yes, yes. To replace them, no. You know, there is a human factor to humans, and I think AI is going to look at the symptoms that you have, but a physician is going to look at what's going on at home. Are you under duress? Are you stressful? Are you safe? Did you lose your job? All this stuff that equivocates into maybe the condition you have. I don't see how AI can do that. And what is that saying we used to say, and probably should say again, garbage in, garbage out? A little fearful of that. What do you think?
Let me ask you this. It sounds great. It does. But if AI can speed up doctors' preparation and writing things down and helping them kind of come to conclusions, what is the downside if they can spend more time with patients? Tammy?
That's a good point. I mean, but it's almost like a secretarial thing at that point. And I think the potential is so much bigger and greater. So no, I think you're absolutely right. If anything that helps at this point would be a benefit, wouldn't it? I mean, we're in a crunch. We're in a situation that's not a good place to be, and it's not getting any better anytime real soon. So AI is here, and I would try to figure out a way to make that run smoother for sure.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. AI may be our future, but in the present, always try to be a good neighbor. Chris Palm Desert wants to know where you can hear some smooth jazz in the desert, or is anyone organizing any events for it? Maria, Cathedral City, wondering when the Animal Hospital on Palm Drive across from the Dollar General is opening. Leah in Rancho Mirage looking for some recommendations. Somebody who does golf cart battery installations. Jay Lee in La Quinta needs to find a reasonable place to administer a smog check on her Nissan.
How do we know what's going on unless you tell us?
You can tell us anything.
Even your deepest, darkest secrets. We like those.
Find Fred on Facebook and Instagram at Fred Rogan or email thedesertdean@gmail.com.
Something I don't think I've ever said on this show before. Manny Perez gets it right twice. So yesterday we introduced you to Cliff Williams. He lives in Whitewater. Do you know where Whitewater is? Well, if you blink, you'd miss it. It's off the 62 in unincorporated Riverside County. If you want to go by there at night, I guarantee you'll miss it because there's no street lights. It's also a place where people dump their trash. Cliff is frustrated and he turned to us.
Southern California Edison, I cannot get anybody to say anything about streetlights. So I contacted
You contacted Manny Perez, his office.
Manny Perez.
Okay,
correct.
what happened?
So when I spoke to his office, said they would do some research and to get back to me. If there was at least one street light in the middle or somewhere on each street, it would light up.
Well, Jim watches the show and he reached out with a suggestion. Contact the state regarding street lights. There are federal guidelines for lighting in residential areas. They have a hand meter that they walk around with and measure lighting. And if it doesn't meet their guidelines, it must be addressed. Well, no reason to call the state on this one, Cliff. Guess who found out about our report last night? Manny Perez. Guess what he did? He had one of his staff call Cliff and talk about what needs to be done. They're going to work on it, and they're going to get it done. Do not adjust your TV. Manny Perez knows about this, cares about this, and is going to work with Cliff to take care of it. But wait, do not adjust your TV. There is more. Not only did Manny take care of that, he also took care of this. After our reporting about short-term rentals that became party houses and the disturbance they created in Thousand Palms and other places, Manny asked for a temporary moratorium on new short-term rentals. Today, he was able to get it extended to February of next year. This is huge for the people that have been complaining for 8 years. Fair is fair. I have been very critical of Manny, but tonight I have to be complimentary. He listened to the people and he reacted. And that is well done. You get anxiety when you renew your driver's license. Everyone hates taking the written test. You've got to pass that test to get your license, or you just could commit manslaughter and get your license. Drunk driving, being involved in a car chase, running red lights, even vehicular manslaughter is not enough for the DMV to not renew your license. Cal Matters did an in-depth investigation and found that nearly 40% of drivers charged with vehicular manslaughter since 2019 still have a valid license. That includes a driver with 2 separate convictions for vehicular manslaughter for crashes that killed a 16-year-old girl and a 25-year-old woman in July of last year. The DMV issued him a driver's license. Tammy, DMV seems to be treating driving as a right instead of a privilege. How do you feel about that?
You know, this, again, you're bringing things I've never known, so thank you. But it is ludicrous. It is ludicrous. You know, it is a right and a privilege. And you use the privilege if you disobey the law. And you don't get a second chance or a third chance to kill someone else. It's unbelievable to me. I'm verklempt. I'm shocked. I mean, this is not okay. Why are we reissuing to people that have already committed the crime?
Listen,
Good question. Brad, you have an answer.
No, listen. I don't want you to be verklempt. I mean, you know, there's only so far we can go here. You don't need to be verklempt. All right, Brad, what do you think?
I think it's a privilege, and it's one that you earn every time you sit down behind the wheel of a car. It's not something that is a one and done. It's ongoing.
All right. What infraction should trigger an automatic license removal? What do you think, Brad?
You know, I think it depends. If it's one vehicular homicide with a history of reckless driving and several citations, that should be enough to ban someone from driving. But if it's truly a freak accident, I don't think that's the case. What do you think, Tammy?
You know, I think you're right because, you know, accidents do happen and they happen to good people all the time. And there's a lot of regret and a lot of remorse for it. So, but if it's a one-off, that's one thing. But if it's a continuous thing or citations, I mean, there should be something we can put in computers maybe at the DMV that say this has happened 16 times. Let's pull this license. I have zero tolerance for this stuff. I really do. I'm not very gracious about it. So I would say after the first time, second time, you're out.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Now, for a moment, let's go back to 1986. A man by the name of Ken Kurtz was trying out his new Super 8 video camera on March 29th. He had no idea it would become one of the darkest incidents in Palm Springs history.
The annual desert tradition known as Spring Break was in full effect. Young people from across the country would gather in Palm Springs to cruise Palm Canyon Drive, meet other young people, and party until dawn.
Within minutes, 15 minutes, it was just literally a mob of people completely covering the intersection.
The incident, which Ken Kurtz captured on video, changed all that. A small crowd soon turned into a mob. Partygoers began to rock vehicles back and forth. Then they were climbing on vehicles. Then, when a pickup truck full of young women drove through the intersection, the situation escalated from disrupting traffic to assault. These women ran from the crowd as their clothes were ripped off. A strong police presence arrived to defuse the situation. Despite the beer bottles that were thrown at them, the police made about 120 arrests. There were consequences resulting from the Spring Break riot of 1986. The administration of then Mayor Sonny Bono cracked down on the Spring Breakers by holding them accountable for their actions. New rules were put into effect, and if anyone were to break these rules, they would receive a citation. Jaywalkers were ticketed. People drinking in public were ticketed. Since G-strings were creating a distraction for drivers, they were now outlawed. Even the water guns that were once sold on Palm Canyon were now deemed illegal. After these changes had gone into effect, the youth were discouraged from coming to Palm Springs, and the decades-old tradition, known as Spring Break, quietly died. For Desert in a Minute, this is NBC Palm Springs historian Steve Summerall.
Been a lovely couple of days here in the Valley. So let's see if that will continue.
How to file taxes. Oh, hey, Fred, I'm a little busy right now doing my taxes. Can you guys just take a live cam? Fred can figure it out. It's nice.
Who were those people on the computer screen? They were all very happy, and if you're filing your taxes, you're not happy on this day. Oh, by the way, we swear the turtles will be fine.
Riddle me this. What has one eye but cannot see?
But do not have that one tonight. Of course, I thought I had last night's and didn't have that either. City of La Quinta is going to be doing some work in the Civic Center Park. They'll be cleaning out some of the ponds, one of them to be exact. And of course, the ponds have become homes to the turtles and fish. What will happen to them? Because I assure you, if anything bad happens to them, you're not going to be pleased. So let's welcome on Tony from the City of La Quinta. Tony, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Okay. So what are we doing out there in La Quinta, Tony? Let's get this on the table.
We are draining the lake at Civic Center, the bottom lake. This is a two-lake system, and we're draining the bottom lake to repair the biofilter that's at the bottom of the lake.
Okay, so this is a big thing. We got to get this done. And
Yes.
when we do that, what does that mean for the turtles, the fish? How do we deal with that?
The turtles, we've been working with the wildlife organization to rehome the turtles, and so they're going to private residences. We'll lower the lake, and during that process, we'll move the fish to the upper lake, where we're going to install a temporary filter system. And then once the biofilter has been repaired, the lake will be filled, and then the fish will be replaced back into the bottom pond.
All right, Tony, you understand what the concern here is, because we talked about something like this last year. And people were concerned about the turtles. People were concerned about the fish. And people said, what is being done? And they were concerned the city wasn't doing anything. But you are doing something, right, Tony? This is going to be taken care of.
Absolutely. The pond itself wasn't intended to be a wildlife habitat, but we've had some turtles and some fish. And so we do our best to take care of them. And we'll take all the processes needed to ensure their safety.
Okay, so when do we start this?
This is going to start about 3 weeks.
Okay, it'll start in about 3 weeks. And once we get started, how long will it take to finish?
It'll take about 3 to 4 weeks to finish.
All right. Tony, thank you for coming on and putting out a fire before it starts, explaining that all the wildlife is going to be okay. Appreciate it tonight.
Thank you.
Is Tony not the happiest guy you've ever seen? He loves his job, and your daily dose of cuteness when we return.
The Rogan Report was presented by the Living Desert Zoo and Gardens.
We love it when you contribute, but please make it a note, not a novel.
Oh, and no, I can't pay your water bill. Find Fred on Facebook and Instagram at Fred Rogan or email thedesertdean@gmail.com.
Hey, what has one eye but cannot see? A needle.
All right, comments, one of them about the power outage at Parks View. A resident wrote, excellent coverage of the PME electrical outage. Luckily, I have a big generator so I could power everything except the AC. By now, I think everyone has had their power restored somewhat. Wiring around here has been problematic for years, and that is why they are doing the big infrastructure upgrade. Finally, big shout out to Bristol Farms in Palm Desert. So Jamie Baker, there she is, one of our contributors, works at Bristol Farms and brought lunch down for everybody in the entire newsroom. Bristol Farms has a great catering department. It was a wonderful gesture, yet a bit scary, because if there's one thing people in any news organization want, it is free food. And I'm here to tell you that it was pretty good. I want to thank Jamie and all of our friends at Bristol Farms. You may go to sleep early, but we won't, because NBC Palm Springs works for you 24/7. Get to that website. There you go. There's the show page, The Rogan Report. Our content from tonight will be up there, and content from our past shows as well. Appreciate you watching. Some interesting things in store for you tomorrow night, so we'll invite you to join us then. Have a good evening. Wheel of Fortune's next.